Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Stylosa and we've got a massive update here for the launch of Battlefield 6. I'm just going to read this off first because I think this is going to make a lot of people quite happy. Requests for naval warfare have not gone unnoticed, nor have the calls for a certain fan favourite little helicopter, platoons and more. So we're going to get some naval action at some point in Battlefield 6. When that's going to happen, who knows? It's probably further down the line in a season, whatever, in the future. But what we're going to do here is break all of this down. So we've got a massive post, which is the Battlefield 6 community update. Now, they tease some of the balance changes for launch, but they also crucially talk about closed versus open weapon playlists. So we need to break all of this down because some of the stats kind of make this look a bit closer than it is, although I think some of this is still a little bit dubious. Anyway, let's break this down. Hello everyone, in this community update we will share how we are translating insights from community feedback into changes and improvements for the launch of Battlefield 6 on October the 10th. What we learned, with over 30 Battlefield Lab sessions successfully completed alongside our community and a total of 92 million hours played during the open beta, Battlefield 6 is the most tested and iterated Battlefield game in history, and player agency remains at the heart of it. Battlefield 6 has more ways to play than ever, and through our open beta, we aim to validate at scale that offering multiple playlists in parallel would not compromise the authentic Battlefield experience. Here is a closer look at some of the most important data points we reviewed and our summarized findings for each. Class pick rates. The map layout was the main deciding factor for class picks. For example, support had a higher pick rate on Siege of Cairo, which is a close combat focused map. On Iberian Offensive, with more long-distance combat opportunities, we saw an increased pick rate for Recon. Comparing between open and closed weapon playlists, we observed most identical class pick rates with 1 to 2% difference at most. Kills per hour. The KPH also remained virtually consistent for both playlist types. Open weapon players scored 0.2 more KPH in Conquest and 0.1 in Breakthrough. Match length. Match duration increased slightly within closed weapons playlists by up to 45 seconds, or about 3.75% difference for both Breakthrough and Conquest. Revives. We also observed a slightly higher revive rate for closed weapons at 3% for Breakthrough and 2% for Conquest, which coincides with the slightly longer match duration. Signature weapon usage. Most players played with non-signature weapons in open weapon playlists. However, Recon players still favoured sniper rifles over other weapons, and their pick rate was identical between both playlists. There was not a single dominant weapon archetype, and we observed a consistent and well-distributed pick rate between them. This balance shows that even with different playlist types, players explored a wide variety of options without one class standing out above the rest. Time in combat. There was no difference of note for time players spent in combat between open and closed weapon playlist types. The actual differences were only fractions of a percentage where, rounded up, the results were identical. Lastly, another key insight from the open beta was that the vast majority of players, after trying both playlist types, chose to stick with open weapons. This reinforces our belief that open weapons is the right path forward for Battlefield 6. At the same time, we recognise that some players prefer closed weapons experience. To support them, official closed weapons playlists will be available at launch. Additionally, closed weapons mutators will remain part of the Portal toolset, so players can create and share their own custom experiences. Right, so this is a lot to unpack here, and I still think there's going to be a lot of conspiracy theorists and theories even being thrown all over the place for this. Because if you remember, the way that they kind of put forward closed and open weapons playlists is sometimes the let's say the closed weapons playlist was maybe off the screen. You had to kind of go and select it, so maybe that would have reduced the amount of instances that game mode would be selected. I am on record though saying I actually kind of preferred open weapons. I think that was just better. It felt more modern. It still sort of felt like Battlefield in the sense of your gadgets were still class restricted, but obviously you could pick different weapons. But you know what, guys? My main takeaway from this is the bit about revives. The fact that they observed higher revive rates for closed weapons. as opposed to the open weapon playlist. And you know why that is, don't you? Because when you're playing closed, you're playing the actual class. You're thinking, I'm actually going to revive people here, right? I am playing the medic. I will revive. That's what's going on in your head, right? This has happened throughout all the years of Battlefield. You know, whether you're playing Bad Company 2, whatever. If you're playing the medic, or, well, obviously it's not the medic in Battlefield 6, but you get what I'm saying. If you've got the defib, you're going to revive your team, right? That's your main focus. You're not just going to be rushing in and playing it like an arcade shooter. Whereas in open playlists, there's more of that rushing in, and maybe those players are being a bit more selfish, and they're, I don't know, just using the support pack for themselves to heal themselves and give them ammo and whatever, rather than focusing on going after the revives for your teammates. So I think that's actually quite interesting. Also, I think the type of player that would play a closed weapons playlist is, again, looking for that, I want to be the engineer that is anti-tank, or I want to be the anti-air engineer, or I want to be the assault, the front line, or I want to be the support player or the medic. That kind of mentality, I don't think that's as prevalent in the open weapons playlist. But still, I still think open is the way to go. But you guys let me know in the comments below. It's a big topic, this is, but I think it's actually quite good that there's going to be 2 playlists available anyway. So yeah, they're not getting rid of one, but they are going to make sure open is the main way forward for the game. And they're kind of trying to back that up with the data. Let's move on to menu and playlist updates. For launch, we are also making further changes and improvements to playlists and menus as a direct result of some of your feedback. All launch maps will be available across playlists from day one, giving you the freedom to play whatever map you prefer. We tested having multiple modes in a single playlist during the open beta and learned that players favoured playlists with combined modes. We will continue to iterate and adjust playlists to deliver the best Battlefield experience possible. You have the flexibility to play in both single mode and mixed mode playlists. At launch, Conquest, Breakthrough and Escalation will each have their own dedicated playlist. Alongside these, you will see combined playlists such as Conquest and Escalation and Breakthrough and Rush, so you do not have to stop matchmaking when switching between those experiences. If you want to focus on a specific mode outside of playlists, you can always find it through custom search and in the server browser. Custom search enables you to select which map and or mode or combo you prefer, and you will be match made into a match with these search criteria if available. You will have a higher chance to be match made into your preference the more you broaden your search. Portal remains the tool for creating and customizing experiences, while the section in the main menu previously called Portal is now called Community. This is where you'll find the server browser, which is now prominently featured to make it easier to find and use. Separately, we will launch with Breakthrough, Conquest and Rush as verified modes within the server browser. This enables us to, for example, feature official hardcore experiences that we know many of you are excited for. At launch, you will also find new custom experiences designed to add even more gameplay variety. This will be your first chance to dive into the new and improved Battlefield Portal toolset, now featuring powerful options like spatial editing. We cannot wait to see the creative ways in which you will use these tools to build and share your own experiences. So these will be the launch playlist rotations. We've learned a lot from the open beta, and we're using your feedback as our foundation for launching Battlefield 6. When the game goes live, you'll find a range of playlist options to jump into, including single mode playlists for fan favorites like Breakthrough and Conquest, closed weapons experiences, intense close quarter battle playlists, action-packed all-out warfare playlists. We'll be paying close attention to your feedback, adjusting playlists and adding new options to make sure things feel fresh and you can easily find a match that suits your style. Please keep sharing your thoughts. This is just the beginning. So this is the Season 1 preview. So obviously when Season 1 begins, there's going to be new content added to the game. And this is the free post-launch content, which begins October the 28th. So you've got Rogue Ops. Blackwell Fields is a new map being added. This is on October the 28th. You've got Strike Point, you've got a Traverser Mark II being added to the game, new weapons, a new gadget, and all that kind of stuff. I think the interesting thing here is the Mini Scout. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what that could actually play like, because that could be quite good. Then on November the 18th, you've got California Resistance, so this is Eastwood, which is a new map. You get, again, new weapons and new weapon modifications and all that stuff. A limited time mode is being added, though, called Sabotage. And then the Winter Offensive is December the 9th. Ice Lock Empire State. This is a snowy version of the Empire State map, I should say. An Ice Lock, which is going to be a limited time event, which is probably based on that map. And there will be the Ice Climbing Axe, which will be a new melee weapon. So pretty cool to see that they've already got this stuff lined up. But of course, a lot of these big AAA games, ones that are obviously designed to be games as a live service, much like Battlefield 6 is, they're going to have this content planned like years in advance. So yeah. on the seasons, they do say this: our seasons will have more content than ever before in a Battlefield game. And we'll unpack that with you in more detail during an upcoming moment. There is much more to look forward to beyond our seasons as our team continues reviewing Battlefield Labs data, player feedback, and ideating on completely new ideas for the future, starting with an exciting new Battlefield take on Battle Royale. Separately, requests for naval warfare have not gone unnoticed, nor have the calls for a certain fan-favourite little helicopter, platoons and more. We appreciate all of your suggestions and want you to know we are listening. With Season 1 on our roadmap ahead, we're excited to continue to build Battlefield that reflects what players want. We'll continue reading and listening to community channels, and we cannot wait to share more with you. So keep the feedback coming. Also, to be sure, join our official Battlefield Discord for more discussion and the latest updates. Okay, so what about balance changes? Now, they say the following gameplay updates will be included in our launch day patch with over 200 changes focused on bug fixes, balance improvements, and polish for release. Now, don't worry. I'm not going to go over 200 changes here because they've not released 200, right? Not at the moment. They then say, stay tuned for the full launch day update notes closer to launch. So let's begin, and we'll go through this because there's quite a lot of. I think these are the main changes that they're listing here. Player changes. You'll notice that movement feels more responsive with changes made to pacing and with several movement issues addressed to keep gameplay smooth and balance. Now, you may remember this is almost certainly addressing the fact that you could like super slide. You could keep sliding and get massive speed, and it was insane. We had all these like crazy clips of these insane players like wiping out entire squads of players by just like sliding at them at the speed of light and destroying them. And yeah, there was all of the stuff back and forth. Boomers can't do that because they're too slow. Yada, 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 yada. So it's going to be interesting to see what this manifests into in the game. And because that patch note is obviously kind of like not very detailed, we're going to need to play it to see what this feels like. But yeah, movement is being changed. Weapon changes and recoil. So recoil has been rebalanced on automatic weapons, making long-range gunplay more characteristic, rewarding tap fire and burst control. So you're not going to be able to just hold down fire and spray across the map anymore. That's a good change, and it needed to happen. They also say this: numerous weapon attachments have been fixed, so they now display correctly in menus and in game. Moving on to gadgets. So the laser designator has been refined with smoother deploy animations, updated visuals, and several fixes for better feel when used. The MBT Law is now the default engineer launcher with a more accurate trajectory, improved guidance, and clearer sights. And again, remember, the engineer does not have two launchers now. The engineer just has one. So you don't have the Stinger as well. So you're not anti-air and anti-tank at the same time, because that's mental. Also, the MAS 148 Glaive is enhanced with a more realistic missile path, improved zoom and lock-on, sharper scope visuals, and more reliable vehicle damage. And this is a big one. Deploy beacons are now limited to 1 spawn per player, 4 per squad total, helping maintain balance and prevent overuse. And you know what that's going to stop? That's going to stop getting into a position which is pretty hard to get to, whether it's, you know, on Liberation Peak up a mountain somewhere or whatever, and you chuck the respawn down and you're just constantly respawning on it over and over again because the enemy team maybe can't see it, maybe can't destroy it, and it gets kind of frustrating. You're not going to be able to do that anymore. Obviously, you can do it once and then you're not going to be able to do it again. Your squad can still use it until they've run out of charges, and then you're going to need to get back and replace the thing. So I think that's actually quite a good change, because it is kind of annoying just constantly respawning from a beacon, right? Or at least it is to me. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that. Maps and modes. Russian breakthrough layouts have been revised for better balance between attackers and defenders. Operation Firestorm has been updated with improved vaulting, lighting, and performance, while Siege of Cairo spawn killing and out-of-bounds issues have been addressed. Moving on to the UI and the heads-up display, the elements are clearer with updated visuals, animated pings, new minimap options, and smoother loadout and deploy navigation. There's a small bit of info on settings changes. So settings and controls have expanded with new options like a voiceover volume sliders, sprint bob reduction, and camera roll toggle for accessibility, plus refinements across platforms. Audio changes. So the audio has been cleaned up so pings are easy to hear, weapons and vehicles sound sharper, and missing delayed effects won't get in the way of your awareness. And the last change that they kind of want to talk about here is network. They just say the netcode has been improved, so it will reduce desync, make time to death feel fairer, and address cases of invisible damage. Now, the time to death thing, this was again a big issue in the open beta, where it felt like you instantly died. Now, what was happening is there was a major desync between the person doing the shooting and you getting shot. So the person doing the shooting, it felt like they were pumping, you know, bullets into you. Maybe they dump half a magazine into you or whatever, and then you die. But on your screen, you don't even see them shooting at you. Then you just instantly die, and it looks like they fired one bullet at you. It's like, what's going on here? Massive desync issue. So if they fix that, that's going to be huge, because it did kind of feel crap. And you'd notice it more and more the more you played the game. You'd be like, what the hell? That guy instantly killed me. But they didn't. From their view, they were actually unloading into you, and then, yeah, it was a messed up. So that's going to be a big one, and I hope that they've really fixed that. Okay, so that's all we've got at the moment for Battlefield 6. Now, you guys know I'm looking forward to this. I played the shit out of the beta. Like, this to me just feels like Bad Company 2 meets Battlefield 3, and those were my most played Battlefield games by an absolute country mile. So I want to get into this. I do actually have, this is kind of funny. If you're this far in the video, right, and you do want to support me, I do have an EA supporter creator code, right? So this is me shilling for, like, well, I'm gonna go for it. So if you use the code STY, S-T-Y, with a capital S, I believe, in the promo code section, only on the EA app and on the EA website, with whatever you buy, but I think it will obviously for Battlefield 6, because that's what we're talking about. I get 5%, I think, of the sale value. So it's kind of like a way of supporting the channel. But I'm not saying, I'm not advocating for go out there and pre-order games. I'm just putting this out there in case you're just going to do that, whatever. That would help me, right? If you want to do that, that's completely up to you. I just think it's kind of funny because all these years, I've never had support a creator code. Maybe I should start playing The Sims, because apparently that's quite lucrative, because everybody buys, like, I don't know, IKEA furniture sets or something. I don't know. Anyway, all right, guys, thank you for watching the video. I've been Stylosa. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Battlefield 6 is almost here. Remember, it's out on the 10th, and it's going to be, it looks mega. The beta was mega. I cannot wait to just pump hours into this bad boy. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See you soon.